Hello there, Ray here. We have a brand new 1.15 snapshot. This is 19W42A, and with it comes some changes to do with honey blocks, as well as many bug fixes to problems that we have seen over the last snapshots. I also got a new microphone, so my voice may sound different, but also will be tweaked it so that it sounds its best. So if you guys enjoy these snapshot reviews, be sure to go ahead and leave a like, and let's get into all the changes with the newest 1.15 snapshot. A feature that was highly requested, not only by myself, but I see you guys also want this in the comments, is that slime blocks as well as honey blocks should not stick to each other. Therefore, you kind of have two alternative ways to make slime stones. Let's go ahead and try it. Flick this lever here. The sticky piston as well as the slime blocks are able to move up without grabbing the honey block. And same thing goes for honey block. You can lift it up and it won't pull the slime blocks. Now they initially talked about what honey blocks are going to do. They also said that they should be able to push mobs along that are attached to the sides. So not only would mobs be able to be pushed from the top, they should also be able to be pushed if they're touching the side. So it might not have fixed this. Let's go ahead and check this. Yeah, it seems that this is still not added into the honey blocks. Same thing goes for the front. If there was a mob up here, it should be able to extend, then attach this mob because it is a honey block, and then retract it. So hopefully this bug gets fixed and the honey blocks work with the stickiness on all the sides, not just on the top surface. They also did a wide range of bug fixes. They fixed a problem to do with witches when they're holding their potions, they were actually holding it at the wrong position. They fixed a really nasty bug, which was when players were using Elytra, they couldn't have the Elytra open during a server when it was lagging or when moving upwards. So hopefully you guys notice that when you're having those situations where you think you're going to fall in a void, maybe your Elytra will just activate and you'll be able to survive those. They fixed the problem with dispensers playing the failed sound when equipping a single pumpkin or skull. They fix it so that if you hop into bed and you have chat is turned off, that this chat will no longer show up on the side. They also added so that dispensers can now dispense out armor stands. So you can put armor stand in there. Yeah, we'll just put a couple in there and you can dispense them off. And yeah, you can keep putting them all on top of each other. See if I break them, there's a whole bunch here. So that is a really cool feature that they added. And I wish they would fix it so that you can also put armor stands back inside of minecarts like you used to in the past. Just with this feature added, it's kind of cool that you can actually dispense an entity similar to like a boat or a minecart and use it in different situations. And if you want to, you can dispense the armor stand and then use another dispenser to dispense armor onto it. They fixed a visual bug to do with when using a spawn egg on water and the mob being spawned in, it wasn't showing the arm animation. So if you show my guy clicking, you see the arm is moving. They fixed it so that certain events would not pop up on the screen if you have your F1 on. So like when F1's on, nothing should show up on your screen even if you're trying to like sleep in bed during the daytime. They fixed a bug to do with using spawn villager eggs inside of dispensers. We're only ever producing the default villager, even if you would take the villagers to a biome where they should have a different type of clothing. They fixed a bug that a couple of you guys mentioned to me that the bee nest was not capitalized correctly. Notice how both the first word and second word of most items are always capitalized, and the bee nest wasn't this way. They changed it now so that fire charges will work properly when lighting a campfire. So let's go ahead and light that. You can see that the fire charge came out and hit the campfire and started a fire on it. Just another cool way to start fires with them. They also fixed a bug to do with dispensers trying to use glass bottles on a bee's nest. If the bee's nest wasn't completely full, it would still play the successful noise, as if it did pick up something from it. There's a feature where if you put a wet sponge in the nether, it will dry out immediately. But before, it didn't actually have any sound to go with it, but now you can hear the sound. It's a very noticeable sound. It sounds very cool. It sounds like water is thrown on like a hot stove. It hisses. Now there's a right click feature for the shovel which can make path blocks out of grass blocks. This right click feature was actually trying to be applied to any block that you pointed towards and right clicked. So fix it so your player only right clicks when he is actually using it. They also did a similar thing when breeding animals. Your person will also show the animation of the arm. So you can see my player just fed the wheat to this cow. They did a similar thing to do with shearing sheep. Your arm action is going to extend whenever you shear them, or when you shear like a mushroom cow. They also fixed the property of dropping items, so you could drop items from inventory and it will show your hand, throw them out. Drop them while your inventory is open, no arm action would occur. It looks like it sort of works. It's kind of different. Like here, you can see my guys like kind of throw them forward. When you're setting inventory, he kind of just like he refreshes the stack, and if you drop from here, it doesn't do anything. So I think they should probably just do the arm action for all of them. Let me go into survival and try it. Drop. Yeah. There's no arm action whatsoever when you're in survival. So it looks like the bug still needs to be tweaked a bit more. They fixed a kind of annoying one that we've seen during our snapshot testing streams, which is you couldn't do a right-click action towards an entity. So if you're facing like a cow, you couldn't like right-click it with a rod. You'd have to like try to aim above it. So now they fixed it so I can right-click with my fishing rod and I can pull the cow. Now if you guys would like to take part in our snapshot testing, we do them every Wednesday as well as Friday. And the streams are often around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we do try to start earlier if we can. So be sure to turn on your YouTube notifications and follow me on Twitter as well as on ProtoTech Community Discord so you know exactly when we go live. They also fixed another arm animation, which was when putting flowers into the flower pot. Your guy like right clicks to put a flower in and out, just like this. You can see he's right clicking. But it's actually allowing you to kind of right click with anything. So let's go ahead and test it. So if I right click with a shovel, you see my guy no longer does the arm animation. There's also a similar thing to do with redstone ore. If you're in survival and you right click it, you can actually light it up. But you can see that now they added a arm animation to go with it as well. They fixed a arm animation to do with the player placing Eyes of Ender. And when he run out, he still tried to right click. You can see a player is no longer right clicking on these guys over here. Your player used to constantly right click when having the cursor pointed towards a button. But now he says he only presses it when the button actually comes back out again. There was a rendering problem to do with chest and their lids not showing properly. They're actually kind of floating when the lid was open. Let's go ahead and open it. It looks good. You can see the contents inside is also black, so it looks like everything's rendering properly. There was also some problem to do with rendering with items in the inventory, as a lot of them were actually showing the bottom block inside of it, like they were almost clearish. Now there was a pretty weird bug to do with nether portals, making your whole screen kind of go wonky. The same thing also applied to the nausea effect, which the animation of the portal as well as the potion would give you nausea in real life just by watching, because it was pretty bad. They fixed a problem to do with the trident model not rendering the correct size. It was actually quite small. And looks really good now. The enchanted armor inside wasn't rendering as if it's enchanted, and now you can definitely see the enchantment showing up from the inside as well as outside. There's also a problem to do with the item, the trident, rotating incorrectly compared to other items when dropped on the ground. There was a problem with the conduit actually rendering incorrectly and causing the mip mapping to drop. The leads, when they were being used, were actually showing up as being too bright. Probably another issue to do with the rendering of stuff. There was a problem when the glowing effect was added to mobs. It wasn't also including the banners that were part of them. You can see that's now been fixed. There was some Z fighting problems to do with large chest when the light level of one was different than the light level of the other. And Z fighting is when like there's two blocks kind of inside each other and the game's not sure which one to show on top. And you can kind of see it when you put like entities together. There was a problem to do with item frames being lit too brightly, and they have now fixed it. They fixed another bug which we kind of ran across a couple times during our streams where rails that are placed by other ones wouldn't update the one beside it, so one rail would continue to stay the other direction, and you can see it's working good now. They fixed the problem to do with the trident position not being correctly when the player was sneaking. There is some funny stuff you can do with tridents. If you have one in your offhand and you right click it to hold back, and then you switch to the one in your main hand at the same time, you end up holding both your tridents backwards. But yeah, when you release them, they end up going forwards. But if you do it again, you see they end up pointing forwards once again. There's also some other items which are having a similar problem to do with the player holding them as well as sneaking. They weren't showing up correctly. They fixed the problem to do with water not having any mip mapping. They fixed a pretty noticeable bug to do with a lot of items in the game not rendering correctly. Inside of the inventory here, there are big black boxes around each of them, and they weren't showing up correctly. Also, the player's head as well as the skeleton head were showing up as being black. Not only in the inventory here, but also zombie heads as well as giant zombie heads were all showing up as being completely black. And they fixed a bug to do with when the player actually puts one of these zombie heads on them and they crouch, their head doesn't clip outside of it. There was another problem to do with witches when drinking their potion. The potion wasn't really close to their body. Instead, it was quite far away from them. They fixed a bug to do with the breaking animation actually being upside down. How did anyone ever figure that one out? They fixed a bug to do with maps and their light level not respecting the light level around them. There was a problem to do with banners having a white line around it, and they've now removed that. Honey blocks are supposed to prevent mobs from jumping on it, and slimes were not affected by them. You can see they now are fixed. They also fixed that some mobs won't try to pathfind across them or jump on top of them. The different items on the advancement screen were sometimes hanging off the edge if you like scroll across. It looks like there's still some problems right there. You can see some are still hanging at the very top of the screen, so it's not quite fixed. And you see if I go way down here, you can see some are way down here. There was some rendering issues with horses where they should be white, they were actually pieces of black. And there was also some rendering issues with the saddle. They also fixed problem to do with blocks not being lit properly inside the inventory. Now to me they still seem a bit brighter than they were before, but at least they're consistently lit. There's a problem that you were actually able to get the honey block recipe prior to crafting it just by attaining the actual honey block. They fixed Persian cats so that they don't have a black nose. We see a problem with entities such as like mobs, where the size of them were rendered differently and they weren't always colored the same depending on which way you came at them. Now, for the most part this has been fixed, but I've seen a problem to do with snow golems. Their head is sometimes lit differently. You can see if we kind of move around, the lighting changes on it, so that one they still need to fix. They fixed a problem to do with minecarts constantly making the minecart rail sound when they were sitting on top of honey blocks. There was a bug to do with paintings were falling off when the world was being reloaded, and they have fixed that bug. For the most part, this snapshot has been mostly bug fixes, and they fixed mostly bugs that just have came into the game recently, none like really old bugs. And it's nice to see that they are fixing the kind of bugs as they're coming about and not just letting them accumulate and then pushing out a final version. The biggest change is obviously the honey block, not sticking with the slime block, which is pretty major, but during last week's testing, we did go ahead and tested a mod made by Ed Example. He is one of the ProtoTech members, where honey blocks wouldn't stick to slime. So essentially he made this mod prior to this change, and we went ahead and played around with it. And there is some pretty cool stuff you could do with it, like this, where the piston is able to extend, the one on the bottom but not the one on the side, because the honey block is transparent, so the power doesn't go directly into this piston. And you can also stick like entities inside of the honey block and they don't suffocate differently than slime. And you can also have the same properties of the honey block as well applied to them. But for the most part, during our testing, we kind of came to a conclusion that honey block isn't going to make some major changes to like slimestone, but it's going to do small changes all throughout the different areas of it, as well as many features just to do all on its own with the slowness and the sliminess. And we will continue to do more testing with this. So if you guys like to join us, you guys can do that. Every Wednesday and Friday, we do a snapshot stream with the viewers. You guys can hop on as we design new things. And it will be cool to see what other cool things can come out of the honey block. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to me on YouTube, go ahead and do that and drop a like on the video, as well as share with others so they know what's going on with the newest 1.15 snapshot. And I would like to thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.